Hi there, and welcome to another edition of the FM Community Challenge. This is episode 3. It's essentially a challenge started by Jambo 98 on the SI forums, where we all take one club, but we're all given random tactics generated by his black box. And then we use them with Saint Etienne, a French club, and try to see how far they can go. No changes are allowed. You can't change the tactic. You can tweak the tactic, but that's as far as you can go. Well, coming up on today's show, we've got 3 tactics. We've got yours truly with the 3421 DM again. And we've got the host of the challenge, Jambo 98, with his 5212 sweeper wingback system. And of course, Repsalty's 4231 narrow. I love all these systems. The 5212 sweeper has been a challenge for many players for a long time, and Jambo is using a libero. Repsalty's 4231 narrow has a lot of potential. This is a system that's going to go places, and if it's set up right, it's certainly going to create a lot of chances, and it does in Repsalty's games. All that is coming up, but first the 5212 sweeper wingback. Jambo system is one of the few systems that's using a libero at the back, and it's going to be very interesting to see how this one plays out. One of the highlights he sent was the match against Krasnodar, which they won 2-1. You can see that in terms of shots on goal, pretty good, 7 out of 13, almost a 50% return. This is the lineup that they're using. On the forums, he says that he's using a standard mentality. We close down more. It'll be interesting to see how those wingbacks handle that. 3-man backlines are actually one of my favorite systems. A few of you probably still remember how I enjoy making 3 backline formations and using them to swamp the AI. It's very possible because if it's set up right, you can get away with it, although I haven't used a 3-man backline for a while. In terms of his stats, I love the backline's pass completion rate as well as the midfield's pass completion rate. What I'll be looking at here when I am setting up a 3-man backline, I immediately focus on the last man. I want to know whether his heading, his tackling, his interceptions are good, because the whole system can fall apart if that last man goes wandering. When I'm looking at the highlights of this match, the first person I'm going to zoom in on is going to be the last man. Here he looks pretty good. He drops back between the 2 central defenders, and he isn't one of the first few to step up. The right people are stepping up to tackle. You can see the wing back actually was the first one up. And the good thing about the system is this: if you can transition quickly from defense to attack, it's really fast. I love the way this can play out. And if you have 3 central defenders who can actually pass the ball very well, it's actually a very potent system. They managed to score 1 goal off a transition, and the next one was off a corner, and I kind of liked both of them. The 5-man setup, or the 5-3-2, or any kind of a 3-5-2, 5-3-2 system, they can actually be very, very good systems. Here, Perrin has been taken off, and they've got a new player called Cubas. So here you can see Cubas, he's actually stepped up because he was already committed to that zone. So he had to step up and go completely forward and finish off the move, which makes a lot of sense. Then we'll be looking at other movements like this. Okay, now what does he do? He steps between the 2 central defenders. One of the central defenders is actually going out wide to cover the space left behind by the wingback, which is the reason why Cubas is now actually further forward than before. But once the wingback comes back, Cubas drops down, which you can see right here, and then he manages to cover. So the movement of Cubas is correct. The only problem here was why was the wingback so forward? Why was the transition not so effective? However, Cubas's movement was spot on. So because the wingback moved out of position, that's why the sweeper moved out of position. One other thing I pay attention to is where Lloyd Perrin wins his tackles. And this is where I use all the pro zone analysis tools, because they'll have all the information there, so you don't have to try and remember it all the time and go like, did he not, did he not. In this passage of play, pay attention to how well he's holding that position. In another match Jambo sent me, I'm really curious to know how he lost a 3-point lead. So if I were to look at the stats tell me, okay, fine, he had like 3 clear-cut chances. Possession looks okay, decent, across the board, it looks fine. Then I look at match ratings. I truly believe that match ratings is key. If you really want to make a solid tactic, you got to make sure that your match ratings look solid as well. The thing here is, when it comes to match ratings, you need to make sure that those players that are key in your system, they need to hit at least above average. Now, if you have drawn the game and you've scored lots of goals like this, then you're looking at 6.8 as the minimum. And if I see divergences, that's when I have to look at the goals itself. For the first goal, I'd be looking at the positioning of the right wing back as he goes up. I'm wondering what the play instructions were for the right wing back and the midfielder that's beside him, because you see both of them closing down. And here from the throw, you see Perrin is a bit out of position, but who's more interesting is this guy, Clark. Clark, the right wing back, he's actually quite far and into the group. If you can see, there's like Perrin is there, and Clark is playing as a right wing back. He's at number 29. And if you look at this, that's where Clark is. He's actually in front of Biasol. When he does that, it leaves a lot of space exposed on the right. And I'll be looking at play instructions as well as the defensive line and closing down instructions as well here to identify what could have caused this to happen. I'm not surprised Perrin has gone out to cover instead of Biasol. So Biasol and Rodolfo, I'm curious to know what the closing down instructions are. This ball is cleared only as far as the defender who loses the ball and they concede a goal. So very lucky opening goal for them in the 14th minute. That was an error from the defense. The second goal comes off this corner. Okay, so the corner is done. Everything is done sweetly. Ball goes back, gets cleared. They maintain possession. I love this kind of corners when you can actually win back your possession. They build up really nicely. You can see how well the screener is doing at the back. So I love the corner attack instructions, and I'm not surprised that they scored a goal. A good routine will usually give you a decent goal. Their third goal also comes from build up from a set piece, and this time it's from a throw in. And anybody who's using Saint Etienne is going to have Kouade, Cognet in their team as the principal playmakers, or the anchors of the team, the pivots of the attack. And they've scored a goal from a throw-in set piece. It should be something that most people in FM should be able to do with all their teams. You would think that any side that's got a 3-goal lead and is playing a 5-3-2 should be able to hold on to their lead. And this is where it becomes interesting. Now, how did he lose that 3-goal lead? First up, whoever was marking the centre back at this point was too slow. I'll be looking at player attributes at this time. Perrin, why was he too slow? Probably was he beaten by acceleration? Was his concentration low? Why was he so high up the pitch? The second goal that they concede is when they actually lose possession in their own third. And the opposition built play up again, but I'm now looking at the width of Saint Etienne as well as the closing down instructions of the players. So they are literally in their own half when they're defending the ball, leaving them open to the goal. So here I'll be looking at mentality, closing down, as well as perhaps player instructions, specific player instructions. When the third goal happens, this is when I realized this is the downfall of this 5-2-1-2 system. Okay, you got to commit those two wing backs to attack. When they go up to attack, you got only those two midfielders in the screen. And you got to hold those three back, and it causes a lot of mayhem in terms of defending. That one MC is running all over the shop, and when the wing back does eventually go up, I think you have to pay a lot of attention to mentality, closing down, player attributes, player this, player that. There's just way too many things I'll have to track just to make the system work nice. Here, is it narrow? Is this, I don't know. I mean, it looks narrow to me, and then the ball gets passed into the back of the net, literally passed into the back of the net. At other points when I see them defend, I'm looking at the back line, and I am a bit concerned with the wing backs positioning. Biasol does okay. Perrin is still working well. The system looks like it can work, but I think the key actually lies in the way the three at the back are set up. I'm really curious about this 5-2-1-2 system because it brings back memories of another system I used to use, and I would be really interested to try to make the Libero system work. Mine is a 3-4-2-1 system against Montpellier. We were facing a 4-2-3-1. I had to make some slight tweaks, and this time around I thought, why don't I go and try counter? We made a few changes here and there, and I've decided to slightly change my defensive setup at the back in order for us to try and intercept the balls a bit better. And in this match, I was pretty happy to see how high my wing backs go to intercept passes and then if you can see, one of the things I was very concerned about was my two middle central midfielders. But here, the wing back and the central midfielders actually play very well together because they can offload the passes to each other. They just beside it. Here you can see Cognet and Asu Ekoto. They are actually not far away from each other. It was a goal I was trying to achieve. If I can get my DMs and my MCs further up the pitch, it'll be pretty cool. And well, it's been a bit rough at the start. We also worked on my set piece routines and how we recycle possession. I usually use the same set piece routines for all my clubs because I believe that as long as you keep possessions of the ball, and with this 3-4-2-1 system, when the ball gets beaten back, your player's already back. And then all you've got to do is make sure to, win the ball back and then build the play up again and move the ball around, which is exactly what we were doing. And you can see that the two DMs, even though they are pretty deep at the moment, they're defending well, they're actually a very good screen. Here, Selnaes, who's playing as a deep line playmaker, finds the ball for passes the ball to Mope. Eso Ekoto is very high. And then the DM comes in to support the wing back, and then we get the second goal. It's getting better. Mentality, it wasn't just the fix to mentality, but I had to make a change to several things, not major. One of those is roles to the back line, and the secondly is removing one of the shouts. Here you can see the shape of my 3-4-2-1, which actually looks like a 3-2-4-1. So I was like, okay, this is nice. And the only downside at the moment is I'm facing a Pogba, who's one of my defenders. He's stepping in because the other defender is injured. He doesn't win as many headers. And I need him to win headers, or I have to move him to a central position and push Loic Perrin to the left. We did okay. Not a lot of clear-cut chances, I have to admit. But my goal here was to actually maintain possession in the match. And so far, we've been doing quite all right. 4 wins, 1 draw. And we're off to a reasonably good start. None came to us, and we beat them 3-0 comfortably. Two of those goals actually came from penalties caused by that random craziness that happens in penalty boxes with players passing the ball to no end. And then we had a big win against Troyes, but Troyes 300-1 outsiders. But in this match, some of the goals that we scored were pure gems. Neil Mope is coming good, and like some of the guys on the forums have noticed, he's probably a potential future star for that side, and I completely agree. I think he has bags of potential. And again, we were using a 3-4-2-1, but now the thing about my 3-4-2-1, it has changed. I right now have employed a high defensive line for the 3-4-2-1, and this means two things. One, we close down a lot higher on the pitch. So when we lose possession and recycle possession, we get the ball back pretty fast. And the second thing about the system is the high defensive line helps, especially with a side that is playing with so many players in their own half, like we were. Now, looking at our tactic, I stopped using look for overlap. There was a very simple reason why. The shout look for overlap encourages fullbacks to go past their midfielders, and these midfielders will hold up the ball while these guys, do the overlapping run. But when that happens, these guys don't run forward, and that's why I didn't want. I actually want Kohade and Cognet to be involved in all the goals, and I also want them to be scoring goals. So once I dropped that shout, something happened. Okay, Renault Kohade, Benjamin Cognet started scoring quite a few goals. He scores, and then he scores. Renat Kohade scores, and Renat Kohade scores, and Benjamin Kohade scores again when we played Nice. When we get the two central midfielders playing high up the pitch, you can see that they're almost in the box here. These are the DMs here, and we got the two central midfielders already inside the box providing a threat. And the higher defensive line has allowed them to be more involved. Removing that shout, look for overlap, also encourages them to actually step up now. And in my tactic, I had them on attack. And if I do look for overlap, it kind of like ruins this whole attack, because attack means these guys are going to get further forward. But It's such a change. We also changed the backline as well, and using defend cover. I started with stopper cover, but now I play with defend cover, and I've also dropped the use of the offside trap. So against really good sides, we play counter. Against sides that I expect to beat, I play control, and then I adjust accordingly. So it's been really, I'm actually quite happy with the system. Quite a few goals being scored in the last couple of games, and now we have a match against Braga coming up. But before we do that, it's time to look at a rip roaring match that Repsalty. This is Repsalty's 4-3-3 narrow. It's got your typical what looks like two wingbacks and then three midfielders, two attacking midfielders, and one striker. And check the score out, it's 4-3. But look at it, shots on target, it's 12 out of 24. 24 bloody shots, 12 on target. Alright, okay, maybe it's only one clear cut chance. But and the defense wasn't really doing a very good job of moving the ball around. 63% still okay. We shall take a look at the key highlights and see how these goals all got scored. First thing I want to spot in the tactic is to see how the shape looks like. And it looks like pretty decent. There's going to be one midfielder who's obviously acting like an anchor. And here we have a corner from Budabu. This gives a good chance to see how they develop play when they started from their keeper. Okay, the fullbacks have Tabanu has gone up very high to close down. Nice. Alright, Selnes has dropped into cover. So you know that they're doing a very good job of covering. Unfortunately, the passing leaves a lot to be desired. Budabu with the bull. And let's look at who's this is. That's Clerk defending. Man, there's bad defending from the back. There's going to be a goal, yeah. That's actually Tabanu. I wouldn't put that down to the tactic. I'll put that down to the player. Okay, Tabanu with the throw. The Selnes was one of the better players. Plays in through to Ru, who's injured in my side, which is a real pity. Lisa Pajot also playing in my side. Tabanu now out wide. They got good build up. Here I'm more keen on the shape. You see they got one midfielder holding back. They got one fullback on the other side. So basically if they lose possession, they've got a very nice way to win the ball back. And I think in terms of positioning, relative positioning of the players, it really looks promising. The build-up play in and around the box is good, and it's definitely a system I'd be interested in developing further with Torino or one of my other sides. Once again, a goal from a set piece. Good set piece instructions. I love the fact that set pieces work so easily in this game right now, and Cognet showing why every time he touches the ball, it's magic. Very nice set piece. Their next goal actually comes from defending and attacking throw-in, and you can see the transition is very fast. Once the ball lands on the fullback's feet, he just boots a long ball up to Ru, who's actually very lucky. And again, this is the AI screwing up, but it's a great goal. It's really nice to watch. Here, throw in from Saint Etienne to Pajot, deep from the own half. I love this type of goals. You know, the build-up is so good. I've seen a few goals scored by Saint Etienne already this season when they build play up from the own half. And the shape of the team looks very good. And the 4-3-3 narrow can be quite a devastating system. And it is definitely going to be a tactic if people can come to grips with it. This is going to be an awesome tactic for people to use. Montpellier get a goal back from... This has to be Tabanu again. I think the settings for Tabanu may be a bit off. And this is just sad luck for Saint Etienne. Pogba putting the ball into his own net. Throw in second half right now. Saint Etienne from a very attacking throw in. They build the play up really well. The shape of the team looks really good. You can look at the amount of players in and around the box. My goodness, this is like has to be one of those sad match ending quirks where the ball doesn't get cleared off the line. Montpellier's third goal off a throw-in that they build up. The movement is fairly quick, but here Darbo doesn't get closed down in time. and Kamara beats the defender. Clerk blindsided him, comes in unmarked, and slots in the goal again. The 4-3-2 is definitely a very interesting system to use. Overall, the match stats indicate that the team actually had so many shots on goal, and I would start looking at individual player ratings to identify whether or not this is a balanced system or not. And at the moment when I'm looking at it, I'm looking at certain things that stand out to me. The first thing that stands out to me is the performance of Kohade. Kohade was taken off in this match. He had a 6.5, and his substitute who came on for him had a 6.8. And if you're looking at Aseric as well, he was brought off on the 45th minute. He had a 6.7, and his substitute had a 6.8. Now, when I see stuff like that, it's more likely the roles and instructions need to be tweaked. But overall, this is a phenomenal system. I definitely like this 4-3-2-1 narrow system. Has a lot of potential. Look at that Cognet, 9 key passes. This guy is a star in this side. Well, that brings us to an end of another show. 3 tactics today: Repsalty's, Jambo's, and mine. And I tried to make mine a bit shorter this time. I do want to get back onto my own other episodes like the Torino Challenge and Kingstonians, as well as doing another how to make a tactic video. And I will try to do that. If you have any questions, please look me up at addicted2fm.com, the website, or drop me a note on Twitter at BusterNet. Now, this show is not meant to be a critique of people's tactics. I'm just observing certain things, and naturally, I don't have enough information to make big changes. But certain small things like how you can see match ratings and stuff, I hope it helps people out. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the show. If you do, please like and subscribe to the show and let me know in the future what you'd like me to cover, and I'll try and do it with the limited time that I have. Well, guys, I'll catch you guys again soon. Bye-bye.